Let's get Alema Harrington on the show. Brought to you by our friends at TridayTrading.com. Alema's kind of a big deal. He's dressed in a really nice suit. He's sitting at the Delta Center because we've got Jazz and Magic tonight. Alema, I don't even know where to start. Harbaugh a cheater.
Yeah, we don't hate on Rip City. Come on now.
No, I when I worked for the Lakers, it was Sheed and Pippen, and you remember the Western Conference Finals where the Blazers were celebrating and it was over, and then the Lakers won. Yeah, Portland's a great town.
I agree. I have a buddy of mine that I played the high school ball with at Punahou that went to Portland State, so got a chance to go up and visit him a little bit when he was playing up there, and loved it. You know, I love the area.
What do you make of the sign stealing thing? I mean, you're a guy who's played the game, obviously. This thing with Michigan is such a massive story. Like, do you have thoughts on it? I mean, in general, do you think that guys like Jim Harbaugh, is this something that happens all the time in your opinion?
It is. It is something that happens all the time. Now, you take a look, and Michigan is one of the programs, let's be honest, right? We all understand this, that people are going to hate on Michigan and they're going to find every reason to come after them. And if you're Michigan, then you got to do your best to try to limit the things that they can come after you for. But they're going to come after you for this. And certainly Michigan took it to, a New England Patriots type of level where, they're as the investigation maybe was warranted. But to me, there's a fine line between gamesmanship and cheating. And maybe Michigan crossed that line. That's part of what the investigation is for. But you got to expect that Michigan is going to, whatever they're going to do, they're going to take it to the next level. And that's what they did here. And is there some punishment? I think that there's plenty of people, certainly that are maybe their full-time ambition is to sully Michigan in some way or get rid of Jim Harbaugh. So I think that's just part of what's expected. I look at college football now and, what are the rules anymore in college football? And you got to have some sort of enforcement type of entity, which the NCAA or the conferences, in this case, the Big Ten, has to serve that purpose. And at the same time, it's almost like the pot calling the kettle black. And if you're Michigan and you get something come down from the NCAA, you can point the finger back at them and say, where do you guys have room to even make that kind of allegation or criticism about what's going on in college sports right now? We have witnessed just within the last 10 years all the things that have happened, and the genie is out of the bottle, the cat is out of the bag. Pandora's box has been opened and it can't be closed. Any type of saying that comes to mind probably is appropriate here.
Yep. Talking to Alema Harrington here on the Monty Show, presented by TridayTrading.com. My wife is in the Triday Trading program now, Alema, and I am watching her. And I have to tell you that it is one of the most fascinating things that I do on the regular.
Yeah.
Understanding now I don't know. I try not to go too over the top about it, but watching the process, understanding the level of work ethic and the level of precision that Triday Trading instills in their students. It's actually exhilarating to watch her operate, man. It's actually a lot of fun watching it happen.
I'm glad. I mean, I love the fact that you've been able to observe this, right? And that was the same thing for me. I was watching other people doing this, and I was like, man, this is amazing. The way, and as you referred to, the intricacy of it, and the discipline and the work ethic, and what the coaches provide. And one of the great parts of this program is the individual coaching that you have. And I always shout out my guy, Jared. He's my coach. And he's done a fantastic job of understanding the way that I learn, understanding how to get me familiar with, and then mastering the vocabulary. As you've watched your wife, I'm sure part of it is understanding, like, what is the vocabulary? What are you talking about? And they never make you feel like you asked a stupid question. It's always like, oh yeah, that's a great question. Here, let me explain, what this, the wicks are that we're talking about, all the various, vocabulary that is out there. And they do a fantastic job with that. And then you add on top of that the proprietary software that it just is brilliant, right? It allowed the proprietary software really does it for you, and then you're just the one that is making the decision to click on the button, buy, set up your parameters.
Yeah.
And at the same time, it's you've had so much practice by the time you go live that you feel comfortable doing it, and you can just really mimic whatever your coach is doing, and like whatever trade they're making, boom, I make that trade too. So there's so many ways to succeed here.
But the other part of it is my wife's coach constantly is telling her, you need to trade the way that you trade in your life. So you have to be able to, because my wife has a big time corporate job. She just wants to be able to do this as a side hustle, if you will. And so her coach is like, well, here's how we're going to fit it into your life. You need to trade in these windows and understand how this is going to impact your day. And as soon as they start it, and really put that together, it all starts to click. Hey, well, it's here, and I programmed it here. And I walk in my house, and my wife has got like the Australian market open, and she's working through her trades while she's making dinner, or while it's amazing how easy it was to integrate it into her day.
And there's always markets available, right? This is always going on. So you want to trade in the morning, you want to trade in the afternoon, mid-morning, whatever the case may be, because they will figure out, right? Your coach will help you understand, just like your coach has done with your wife, understand, okay, this is my best window right here, a couple of hours, to be able to trade with the Australian market, or you might be going with Japan, or you're trading the euro. And so either way, anyway, you can figure out a way to make this thing fit into your time schedule. And that's really, I love her approach, which is, this is my side hustle. And so many people, that's their initial, entrance into the day trading is, I'm going to do this on the side hustle a couple of hours. And my goal is that I'm going to be able to make enough money to make my car payments, or make enough money to, pay my mortgage, or make enough money to make rent this month. Or how about, whether it's an education fund or a vacation fund.
Yeah.
Those are great ways to start out. And a lot of people start out that way, and eventually it becomes, okay, this is my full-time hustle. Now this has replaced my income, and I make more money doing this than my regular job.
Yep. Totally agree. TryDayTrading.com/Monty. Alema Harrington joins the show. I want to ask you, before we get to the Jazz, I want to ask you about Kedon Slovis and BYU. There's been a lot of chatter, and I think it was Kyle Van Noy who started it, but a lot of people have been talking about sitting Kedon Slovis. I don't know that resonates with me. I am not the guy who's like, well, let's just cast off the rest of the season. I think this has been a remarkably successful season. And I feel like it frustrates BYU fans when I say that, Alema, but I feel like this has been a remarkably successful season. I joked, and I think we joked together about, if they go to a bowl, put a statue of Kalani in front of the stadium, right? Like, I think this has been a remarkable season. Is there merit in sitting Kedon Slovis for BYU right now?
I think I'm with you, Monty. I look at it and I think, you brought this guy in on basically, kind of a one-year rental. You're bringing guys in out of the transfer portal specifically for that case. Is it maybe too late to try to do that? And I don't know that Slovis is necessarily the problem with the offense. Is it, not being able to establish a running game? I'll tell you, any quarterback out there, if you can't have, an effective running game, that quarterback is not going to be at his best. I would say if you're going to try to make a decision like that, and maybe too late in the season to do that anyway. And by the way, I'm with you. If they go and get one more win and they're bowl eligible, hey, chalk that up as a success for the first year in the Big 12 conference. And, a couple of Big 12 wins and see what you can do down the stretch here. But moving to a different direction with your quarterback right now, I don't know that that is the solution. I'd be more in favor of, hey, let's have an effective ground game, and then we'll see what the passing game looks like combined with that ground game. Then I think we can make a more educated decision on what kind of quarterback Kedon Slovis is. Because we all look at, okay, the USC year, and it's like, well, we want that guy. Or, you know, you want to be able to return to that glory. But in order to do that, to make that comparison, you're gonna have to establish the ground game. That's much more my concern, and maybe partly as a former running back, it resonates more with me. But establish the running game, then I think you'll have a better understanding of what Slovis is doing at quarterback.
But Alema, we're talking about an offense that's very different when LJ Martin isn't on the field, and I think that's exactly right. I don't know what to tell you about Cody Epps. I think the kid's an NFL receiver, but you're only an NFL receiver if you're on the field. Yeah. And I think we're just now starting to scratch the surface of maybe he's got the full repertoire available to him. But I think Kedon Slovis, has he been spectacular? No, he's not. And the interceptions are a problem. But I need LJ Martin 20 times a game at a minimum. I need assignment sound football on the offensive line. And I think if we can get this group of wide receivers healthy, I love Isaac Rex. Throw Isaac Rex the football. You know, like they give me Cody Epps, put the whole package together. And listen, then if Kedon's not the guy, or if you're out of bowl camp, whatever it might be, then let's maybe talk about the future. But that was for fall camp. That was for spring football. That was for, I mean, it just feels oddly timed to me. I guess that's what I'm saying.
And I agree with you. And I'm sure I have some personal bias with this. I'm a big fan of Isaac Rex. His father was my roommate. I knew his mom and dad in college. I've watched this kid grow up. Obviously, we all witnessed what he was able to do as a freshman at BYU. His father, by the way, was a freshman All-American as well at the tight end position. He comes from great stock, and I feel like he's been underutilized. This has nothing to do with Kedon Slovis' underwhelming performance this season, and it makes you just wonder, okay, is it the offensive line? I look at the offensive line and I think, man, if we could get more effective on the offensive line, everything changes. And right now, and this is not unique to BYU, everything starts there. We've seen that with the University of Utah, but they have at times shown that their offensive line certainly is much better at getting to the second level than BYU with their zone blocking techniques have been able to this year.
Yeah, absolutely. And I also think we as fanatics, I think the first thing we want to do is fire coaches. And I think, again, we forget what the expectation was and where this team has achieved. And I think what Jay Hill defensively has done, I just don't know why you don't ride it out. Man, maybe we've established the identity of this team, but I think Kalani, I think Jay Hill, you want to talk about A-Rod after the season? Okay, fine. But it's November 2nd.
Yeah.
Everything for BYU to play for is right here in front of them. I just don't understand the knee jerk. And I think Hans has done a really nice job on the broadcast of talking about this stuff. Like, there are little things that this offensive line has to do that make Kedon Slovis throwing that pick six a couple of weeks ago. That play goes away if the offensive line is assignment sound. You know what I mean? So I just think we're ahead of it. And by the way, the other thing I have to ask you is the Big 12 schedule matrix comes out. And I just want to say, let's go rivalry every single year, BYU and Utah. I'm here for it. Are you a fan of the rivalry game every year?
I'm telling you, when the schedule came out, and I think we all knew that, of course, BYU was going to be playing Utah, but to be scheduling it at the end of the year, and puts a big smile on my face, because it takes me back to the days when I was playing, and then ever since, watching these two teams play, one of, if not the best rivalries that you will find, and certainly you can put it up against any rivalry in the country. It is that good. And to be able to have it back in where it should be, right, where it means something, And I love the years when both teams were competitive and there was something on the line when you were playing at the end of the year that had to do with conference championship or whatever the case may be, and not just bragging rights. And I think both teams are a little more evenly matched. I think the University of Utah certainly had some advantages going into this because of their years in the Pac-12, and there might be a little bit of a learning curve, but we got the last one. So I think that, from that standpoint, it could be a better time to renew what I think is one of the best rivalries in college football. So I'm excited about it. And back to something you said about LJ Martin. You guys have heard me say this before as a former running back. I have a formula. My formula is very simple. You give your bell cow best running back 20 carries. He's going to give you 100 yards and a touchdown every single game if you can get him those 20 carries. And to this point, we haven't been able to run the ball effectively enough to warrant that, okay, we're going to give this guy 20 carries. But I think that LJ Martin, in spite of the fact that he is a freshman, is ready for that type of responsibility.
Yeah, and you need it. He's shown you he's captured my imagination about what the top end could be.
Yeah.
And I think we've gotten spoiled watching BYU football with Jaron and Zach Wilson before that. And we've gotten Jamal Williams and we've gotten spoiled with the Tyler Algiers making the Superman play. Like, we're expecting miracles. This kid's a freshman. He's had some injury issues now, but give him the chance to fail. Yeah. Way back in the day, good old Matt Suhey from the Chicago Bears always used to pound into my head, hey, give me a chance to fail. Let football players fail. And I that has resonated with me since day one. Let LJ Martin show me he's not the guy, Alema.
And to your point, you look at Zach Wilson or any of the successful quarterbacks that BYU's had, you can always look back and you can point to a Harvey Onga or a Jamal Williams or a Tyler Algiers. You can point to somebody that was the guy that gave them stability on the ground and allowed them to have effective play action and things to be able to set up the pass.
Did Tyler Algier really make that play? Did he really?
Yes, he did.
I still go back to that, him punching that ball
beast.
Real quick, because you're sitting in the beautiful studios of the Delta Center. How are you feeling about the Jazz? I know it's very early. It was nice to see them have a nice run last night, but a lot of people feel like the Jazz are not as good as they were last year. What is your early assessment of that club?
They say that comparison is the thief of joy. We're making comparisons to last year where they came out and they beat Denver right out of the gate at home, and just automatically people are like, oh my gosh. And then they're leading the West 10, 15 games into the season. But they had Mike Conley. So this has been a very different beginning of the season. They looked fantastic last night. They were hitting shots. Guys are playing different roles. Right now, they're playing point guard by committee. So there's a lot of things that they're still feeling out that I think you do yourself a disservice by trying to compare it to last year, because Mike Conley was a part of that last year. And this year, I look at Keontae George and I think that guy he's a baller. He is the point guard of the future for the Utah Jazz. But that takes time. And so the one thing that, whether it's BYU fans, Utah Jazz fans, the one things that fanatics don't have is patience. And I always encourage people, just be patient and watch this team develop. I promise you that they will surprise you down the stretch, because I feel like the expectations are a little ambiguous right now. Some are a little too high, and some after, losing the first or 3 out of the first 4, some probably a little too low. And then last night they give you a little hope again, but it's against a Memphis team that doesn't have Ja Morant, Steven Adams, and hasn't won a game this season. So be patient, Jazz Nation, because this thing will come together. I promise you that. Will Hardy has proven that he's the kind of coach that can do that. But it's going to take a little bit of time for this team to kind of get their bearings, especially at that guard position. And so it's going to take a minute.
Colin Sexton, was that his best game as a Jazz man, you think?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, no,
Yeah.
absolutely. And part of it is, and if you talk to Colin Sexton, right, his main goal is, right, he's got many, but his main goal is I'm going to play all 82. Last year he was on minute restrictions, and then holding him out for different games because of the injury, and making sure that the hamstring is okay, along with the knee, all of the things that go into that. And I think that last night was a game where we got to see Colin Sexton going downhill, the things that he does well, and being able to distribute and to hit shots. Certainly, it was his best game, in my opinion, as a Jazz man. And I think we'll see more of that. And we always got to remember how young these guys are, and it's easy to kind of question yourself, lose your confidence a little bit. And a game like that last night, I think, really good for Colin Sexton, and in the grand scheme, good for the Utah Jazz.
Yeah, and I don't know that the 5 guys and let's be realistic, the 9 guys that are going to make the playoffs the next time around for this team or really lead this team forward. You have an odd mix of toys here right now. And I think with the guard heavy, I love Keontae. I think this draft is going to bear a lot of fruit. So I agree with you 100%. TryDayTrading.com. Should I know or not know after 30 days how amazing TryDayTrading.com is?
I believe in you, Monty. You should be able to know. And if you are able to know and I'm able to know, then that means the vast majority of our viewers right now will know within 30 days whether or not this thing is right for them. And all it takes is a $10 commitment, and that $10 not going to TryDay Trading, is going to a charity, and it's really just to get you involved, a little skin in the game, so that you can really dive into this thing. And if you do that for 30 days with access to all of the resources available, you will know after 30 days whether this thing is going to work for you or not. And trust me, if it is right for you, you will kind of catch that fever, and you're just like, man, this is something that I really want to get into. I want to pursue more. And TryDay Trading, as they always do, is going to pour their energy into you, because they're going to be the ones funding the account for you to trade. You are trading their money, and you are keeping up to 80% of the profits. I can't think of a better deal or a better way to get involved. And TryDay Trading, those are my guys, and they will take care of you.
Love it. Alema, my guy, always good to see you, man. You look fantastic as usual. Let's do it again soon.
All right, 6:30 tonight, 6:30 pregame, 7 o'clock tip. We'll see you on TV.
On Jazz Plus.
Jazz
Plus.
Let's go.
I'm a Jazz Plus subscriber, so
I love it.
Love it too, man. Good to see you. We'll talk to you again soon.